Hi there and welcome to this bonus episode of the Gazette's Hockey Inside Out Show. I'm Stu Cowan of the Gazette and I'm joined by former Canadiens teammates, 1986 Stanley Cup champions and good buddies Rick Green and Brian Skrudland, who's filling in for Chris Nilan this week. Rick, there's been some talk leading up to the season about the possibility of Sidney Crosby possibly being traded by the Pittsburgh Penguins. It might seem unlikely. The Penguins are doing pretty well this season too, which would make it even more unlikely. But would acquiring Crosby turn the Canadiens into Stanley Cup contenders right away, or is it going to take more than that?
Listen, any team that ends up with the greatest player in the whole world has got a chance to win the Stanley Cup, and Sidney is still the greatest player in the world on top of his game. I mean, this guy is as committed as could possibly be. He's obviously, I think you're going to have to maybe give up the entire boat to get this guy. But at the same time, he's just an amazing athlete, and what he's continuing to do at his age and be as competitive, lead that group of guys, and hasn't been in the playoffs the last couple of years. I'm sure that's very disappointing for a fella that's as competitive. Lots to go for. I'm so happy that he's still a Canadian and that he'll be joining our Olympic team here coming up. It gives us more hope as Canadian fans, and just have loved watching this guy play, the way he takes care of himself both on and off the ice. I've said it many a time, but what he's doing for that province of Nova Scotia, along with a couple of his buddies there, he can be awful proud.
Well, a big reason why this was talk, Rick, is because his agent Pat Brisson said during the summer that Sidney should be in the playoffs every year, and the Penguins haven't been for a while. What do you think if the Canadiens were able to acquire him?
I mean, his track record obviously speaks for itself. Anytime you bring a player like that into your lineup, your team gets better in a lot of ways. And I don't know. Pittsburgh is doing pretty well right now. He's having a great year also. Would it be nice? Of course it'd be nice, but I think the reality is that's really a long shot. But I have a lot of respect for a guy like that, with what he does on and off the ice and the quality person. You never hear anything critical of him. He goes about his business and he delivers, and one of the best to play the game. And yeah, it'd be nice to have him. It would be unbelievable. But the reality is, I think it's really a long shot.
I haven't had a chance to watch too many Penguins practices, Brian, over the years, but I've seen a few, and he's like the hardest working guy in practice also. I mean,
it's incredible. The greatest players I ever played with, Stu, were the hardest working guys. I mean, it's there for a reason. Mm-hmm. Bob Gainey, 4 Stanley Cups when I joined the Canadiens, and there he is down in the corner working on me, just doing a little flip out drill and doing it 25 times in a row until I had it perfected. I mean, you didn't realize that he was 3 decades ahead of himself, because that's the play of the day today.
That's right.
So, kind of funny stuff. But the great players had a chance to play with Gretz in New York, Sergei Zubov in Dallas, and Nui in Calgary. And these great players, they're great for a reason. They work at every part of their game, and they don't take a day off.
Ricky's also such a great leader, right? I mean, captain of the Team Canada, and just he seems to do everything right on and off the ice. Who are some of the best leaders you remember back in the days when you were playing or coaching that had similar sort of attributes?
I mean, I always I looked up to the Big Bird as a guy that he was one that showed a lot of guys what they should and shouldn't do. Quality person, respected, just an all-around good guy that it was a real pleasure to be part of being able to play with him. The only thing I didn't like is when he would call for hot apple pie the night before a playoff game and had to make sure they had ice cream warm on the top. But other than that, certain guys command respect. Certain guys you are fortunate enough to have an experience with them, and there's the list goes on. There's a lot of guys, but I enjoyed my time with him.
Brian, you were one of several rookies who joined that '86 team that went on to win the Stanley Cup. I mean, when you think back, it's incredible, a team with that many rookies. Who were the leaders then when you first came into the locker room that sort of took you under their wing a little bit or just showed you the ropes?
Well, Bob was there, Larry was there, Mario Tremblay, Knuckles, of course, Greeny. I mean, we had such a great group of older veterans, and then that mix of young guys. I mean, here I was feeling a little bit old at 22, my first year, and coming off of a Calder Cup with the likes of Stéphane Richer and Patrick joining us that year, and those guys are 18 years of age. I mean, I knew Stu for a fact, and everybody else knew it too, but I was not ready for the National Hockey League, and at that age, no chance, no doubt in my mind. When I was 22, I felt, yes, I was ready. We had won a Calder Cup, but wow, I think about those kids and their careers, and looking back on it and having these conversations, we talk, and as time goes on, and you learn, well, here Patrick and Stefan had lost to one another that year in the playoffs, or lost, one beat the other, and then the next round somebody else went ahead. I think it was Mamessa or Lemieux's team. But for Patrick to come and join our American Hockey League team that year, and both of our goalies got hurt. And into the dressing room walks his 165-pound, 6'2" guy, and I'm thinking, wow, he gets hit by one of these shots, they're going to break him in half, right? I mean, the guy was just incredible, and then of course to see Richer come over the blue line and let a slap shot go, I thought, my God, they brought back Guy Lafleur. I mean, this guy could shoot a puck, right? It was just incredible. So I was pretty fortunate. Timing, of course, is everything once again, and those two guys really stood out to me on making a big difference in not only my career, but our future together. We played a decade together, all of us, so it was a lot of fun.
It's interesting that you mentioned Knuckles, Brian, because fans remember as a tough guy in that, and maybe not as much as the leader. But with you rookies that year, didn't he pull you guys into a room or something and read you guys the riot act?
Pretty much. We went into the video room, each and every one of us, and Chris laid down the law and said, this is what it is every day, and we got some older guys in that dressing room, and Montreal is a fun city. And we like to hear your stories from the night before, so you better have fun as well. So after almost threatening us with our lives, there he is telling us we got to tell some good stories the next day too. So it was just, I mean, that was part of that whole group of people, how we grew together and lived together. I mean, there was a lot of commercial flights back then, Stu, and so we spent a lot of time at airports. And I tell you, the guy that we're doing the broadcast with here today was one of the funniest characters at the airport I've ever seen. I miss him when I've got a delay.
I remember Sergio Momesso told me, he says he figures he spent half his playing career in the Chicago airport waiting for connecting flights.
Good point.
Rick, we're just back to Sidney Crosby for a second. I mean, you were an assistant coach in the NHL going up against him, right? Trying to set up a game plan to try and stop him. But how do you do that?
Just wish them good luck. Just make sure that you're on the defensive side of things, because he's coming and he's not going to go away that easily. And you just, like a lot of those great players, I think he's deceptively strong. He's the kind of guy that, has had so much success on pushing hard and beating guys one-on-one. You have to be obviously well aware of your positioning and be ready, because he's not going to go away easy.
The other thing I love
Stu, if I may jump in, because there was one time you're talking Sidney Crosby, almost a Sidney Crosby, and Denny Savard. The career that this fella had was incredible. I'll never forget the old form, and he comes flying down with Chicago against us back in the day. I'll never forget Greeny playing the one-on-one. He had the gun in the holster, so stick on his hip, hand up, and Denny Savard twisted and turned for about 30, 40 seconds. Greeny just stood in one place, kind of moved around a little bit like that. Next thing you know, Denny just dumped the puck in the corner and changed.
I wanted to make sure that he tired himself out and not get me too dizzy, so I had to be careful.
I'm surprised they haven't found that tape and showed all defensemen. Less is more.
Yeah. He wasn't going to beat me. He wasn't going to go around me.
He sure wasn't.
Brian, the other thing I love about Sidney, and I've written a few stories just about the stuff he does off the ice. I was speaking to one of the Bell Center security guards. He says, you wouldn't believe the stuff this guy does off the ice when he comes to Montreal. He doesn't want people to know about it. I mean, a few of the things I know about that I've written about it, when the Penguins were on their winter break or their bye week, a young guy was out skating on the ice, the outdoor rink at Mont Tremblant, and all of a sudden this guy comes on the ice with him, and he looks up and he goes, "That's Sidney Crosby." And
Crazy.
Crosby spent like an hour skating with him there. And then there was another story back in his hometown where some guy had left knew he'd be back in the summer and left a Sidney Crosby sweater out on like a billboard and said, "Sid, please sign my sweater." And sure enough, there's a knock at the door one day, and there's Sidney Crosby showing up to sign the guy's sweater. The guy was at work. His wife had to phone him at work to tell him. She didn't believe that Crosby was there until he put him on the phone. But when you hear stories about that, as you said, I agree with you. I think he's the greatest player in the game. What's that mean just when you see the stuff that he does off the ice?
Well, I mean, that's the thing about the game of hockey. I think he more or less represents us all in the fact that it's a humble game. It's a team sport. Sid's as good as the guys around him, and I think he's never ever lost that as much as he's one of the greatest players of all time. I mean, and when you've got somebody that's that good, that's your leader. I mean, you as a player, one of his teammates, you're going to do your best to never let this guy down. So you come to work every day with whatever it is your position is, and you do your best, and you're trying to impress those guys every day as well. I mean, we had veteran guys. I was honored to play with them. I never wanted to disappoint them, and so really practices were harder than games, to be honest with you, some days. And because you're certainly not going to go on the ice with 18,000 people in the crowd and dog it. I mean, you've got some pride in yourself too. But when there's nobody in the crowd except maybe Serge Savard smoking a cigar and Larry's yelling at him, "Get that cigar out of here!" But other than that, our practices were pretty competitive, and we had a lot of fun with it. Next thing you know, the hour was over. That was it.
Well, it seems unlikely that Crosby will join the Canadiens. One of the reasons there's been speculation is the Canadiens have a lot they could offer that Pittsburgh would want, right? Young prospects and draft picks, etc. Might never happen, but it certainly would be cool if it ever did. Anyway, that's it for this Hockey Inside Out Show bonus episode. We'll have another one coming up over the next few days with Rick and Brian. In the meantime, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the Hockey Inside Out YouTube channel.